Afghanistan updates. U.S. military wary of working with Taliban against ISIS-K. Washington. Just over a day after the last American service member left Afghanistan, the Pentagon's top two leaders expressed wariness on Wednesday about continuing to cooperate with Taliban leaders who helped provide safe passage to more than 124,000 people evacuated out of the country. "We were working with the Taliban on a very narrow set of issues," Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Austin III told reporters. "I would not make any leaps of logic to broader issues. It's hard to predict where this will go in the future with respect to the Taliban." General Mark A. Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was more blunt in his assessment of Taliban leaders, whom American commanders have praised for their cooperation during the evacuation. "This is a ruthless group," said General Milley, who commanded troops in Afghanistan. "Whether or not they change remains to be seen. In war, you do what you must." Asked if the U.S. military would cooperate with the Taliban in fighting the Islamic State Khorasan, or ISIS-K, the group that claimed responsibility for last week's attack that killed 13 American troops and more than 100 Afghans, General Milley said, "It's possible." General Milley also defended an Air Force drone strike on Sunday that the military says destroyed a car filled with explosives that posed an imminent threat to the evacuation operation. Afghans on the ground say it killed at least 10 people, including 7 children. Pentagon officials say they were investigating the reports of civilians' deaths, but General Milley said the military had very good intelligence, that ISIS-K was preparing a specific vehicle at a specific location to be used to attack the airport. He said secondary explosions after the drone strike supported the military's conclusion that the car contained explosives, adding that military planners took the proper precautions before the strike to limit risks to civilians nearby. "At this point, we think the procedures were correctly followed, and this was a righteous strike," General Milley said. The Pentagon leaders said the military mission in Afghanistan had now shifted to a diplomatic effort, led by the State Department, to evacuate any remaining Americans or eligible Afghans who want to leave the country. Some 20,000 Afghans have arrived at 8 military bases in the United States, where they are set to complete processing for resettlement across the county. But about 43,000 Afghans are still in transit along way stops in the Middle East and Europe. The pipeline could take weeks or even a few months to clear, U.S. officials say. Mr. Austin pointedly said that the State Department's Special Interest Visa Program, known as SIV, was ill-equipped to deal with the avalanche of Afghans who sought to flee their country. Though the program was used to evacuate thousands of Afghan interpreters, drivers and others who worked and fought alongside American troops, ultimately, thousands of other Afghans at risk of reprisals by the Taliban were evacuated under less cumbersome mechanisms. Thousands more were unable to reach the airport to evacuate. "For the type of operation that we just conducted, I think we need a different type of capability," Mr. Austin said. Mr. Austin and General Milley, both 4-star Army combat veterans of Afghanistan, used the news conference to express their gratitude to the 800,000 American service members who served in the 20-year war. "Your service mattered, and it was not in vain," said Mr. Austin.